Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to a special edition of Divine Feminine Works. So, this month I decided to start something new. I decided to start doing interviews with some of my favorite people on some of my favorite topics. And today's topic is no exception, and today's interviewee is also no exception. So, before we get into all of that good stuff, if this is our first time meeting, hello, my name is Mel. I am your favorite astrologer, healer, spiritualist. I'm a lot of different things, but above all else, I am your favorite, all right? And I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you are new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, so today we are talking all about twin flames, divine unions, soulmates, all of that good spiritual relationship stuff. All right, and I am super excited because I am joined by one of my favorite people. I am a regular guest on his channel, and I'm so excited to have him be a guest on my channel. So I want to introduce you all to Rob Blackstorm, who is in the house. What's going on, Rob?
What's going on, Mel? What's going on? How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
I can't complain. Gratitude. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
No problem. My pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure. So today we're talking all about twin flames, divine unions, all that good stuff that people love to talk about, love to get readings about, love to know more about. All right. And so as a divine feminine, I thought it was only fitting to invite a divine masculine on the channel so that we can get both perspectives and really give the people the truth on twin flames. All right. So hopefully, I feel like it'll be a very good topic, very good discussion. And so if you guys are joining us live in the chat tonight, if you have any questions, we'll be taking questions throughout this discussion. So the best thing to do is to put 3 question marks before your question so that I know that it's a question so that I can include it. All right. Super, how would I say this? I wanted to make this super duper structured. And I realized quickly that, that wasn't going to happen. I feel like this is one of those topics where you kind of just got to roll with it, see where it goes, and just let it flow. So I figured we would do that. But in terms of structure, just a little bit, I got to make it a little bit structured. Definitely want to talk about the whole concept, like the overall concept. And then if you want to talk about your experience, I'd be happy to hear that. And as well, I will talk about mine and then we'll take questions. So I feel like that's a pretty good structure to get things going. What do you think? Can you hear me?
I think it's great. Yeah, structure is important.
All right, cool.
Bringing order out of chaos. So yeah, I'm definitely down with it.
All right, sounds good. All right, so I guess we'll start at the beginning. Sort of what is a twin flame? What is a divine union? Like, what are soulmates? Are they the same? Is there a difference? This is a topic that, to be honest, I didn't think I would be talking about because to me, I sort of went through the whole process and then I was like, yeah, this is not like, there's no such thing as twin flames. Like, this thing is garbage. It's like whatever. And then in the last couple of months, this topic has really there's been a resurgence of this topic. Not only have I been seeing it, but really in my life. So I figure now, especially with Venus in Leo, Venus being the sign of relationships, Leo being the sign of romance and the heart, I felt like this was the perfect time to talk about this. So it is my understanding that twin flames and divine unions are pretty much the same thing. Essentially, it is a relationship that is orchestrated by spirit, the purpose of which is to help each individual grow. It's all about spiritual ascension, regardless of what anyone else is teaching out there. Like, yes, it can be this really great romance, it could be a really great relationship, but the purpose of it is for personal elevation. It's basically like you have a buddy that helps you ascend in some of the worst ways possible at times. But it's all, again, it's all about spiritual ascension. I say that
Speaking
because
facts,
they're
speaking
not
facts,
like,
though.
right, like it is, they're not for the faint of heart. It's not like, at least I'll say this, it's not, I feel like it's not this narrative that people are peddling out there. Like, I feel that people think that the purpose for these divine unions, twin flames, is to have a really dope ass relationship. Like, oh, I found my match, I found my person, we're gonna live happily ever after, we're gonna be wearing matching pajamas on Instagram and living that life and going on vacations. And it's not to say that that's not what it is, but when that's all you focus on, like, you miss the entire point of the relationship to begin with.
When we talk about twin flames, a lot of times, can you hear me? Am I okay? I thought I was frozen. A lot of
Yeah.
times when people talk about twin flames, as you were stating, like it's always this relationship that is like Disney, straight out of a Disney fantasy, where boy meets girl, the boy is a prince or a pauper about to be a prince, right? The girl's a princess, right? Or she's poor, about to become a princess, right? So it's this idealized thing. So a lot of times, I think before we learned about or whatever your
I think you're frozen.
and right, you want someone to communicate with, you want someone to go to the movies with, you want someone to throw popcorn at, right? You want somebody to go to the circus with and spin around with the horses and all that, right? And then you learn spirituality, and once you learn spirituality, then it gets all deep, it gets all heavy, and you have this thing called a twin flame. Now, when we talk about fire, we have to understand that fire is not only something that brings heat, but it also burns, right? Fire burns, it burns things away. So when you're talking about a twin flame relationship, it may not be a person, that person, hold on, let me switch this view because it's bugging me out that I can't see. Hold on. All right. When you are with a person, that person may not be the person that you're supposed to be with for the rest of your life, right? That person may not be your prince. That person may not be your princess. But when you're talking about twin flames and you're talking about fire, you're talking about something that is essentially going to burn some things out and some things that are going to essentially make you better, right? When you're hot and on fire, you have a fever. The fever is designed to really kick out the cold. It's designed to burn the mucus in your body and designed to get that cold or that virus out of you. That's why the fever occurs. So when you are on fire for someone or someone else, or you have someone on fire, they're really looking at you essentially as the sun. They're looking at you as someone that brings warmth, that brings light. But the problem is nobody wants the fire. Nobody wants the fever. Nobody wants to get burned. And a true twin flame is going to challenge you. And that challenge may lead you into a partnership, right? That may lead you to your prince or your princess if you're up for the challenge. Or that fire may be too much. The way the person uh, delivers communication, the way the person articulates themselves, the way the person acts towards you, right? It might be too much fire, right? It might be too intense. It might be too much. So the whole twin flame thing, it might not be what you want if you're not ready for it. Some people meet their perfect partner, right? You might have ran across your husband, you might have ran across your wife, or whatever the case is, but you weren't ready to put in the work to be with them. For instance, right? Let's say you're dating a, a millionaire, right? Let's say a millionaire, multimillionaire. A multimillionaire doesn't have the same habits that the average mediocre person does. That person may get up first thing in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, run 3 or 4 or 5 miles, right? After that, he's probably on emails for an hour or two, right? Then, he takes a bath, then he might be watching the stock market or watching his investments or going into the office, right? He's busy. And then at the end of the day, he might be catching up on more emails, or he or she, right? That may not leave a lot of time for you, but you're most likely going to live in a good lifestyle, what they consider a good lifestyle, live in an upscale lifestyle, things like that. But there's sacrifices that come with that. So are you ready to join this entrepreneur and helping them, manage the business, helping them, going out when they go out, working out with them, studying some of the things that they study so that you can help them, right? Or are you not built for that lifestyle? So that person may be a twin flame to take you to the next level of your own entrepreneurship. You may not have been ready then to be with them, but you see what they live and their lifestyle. And maybe after a couple of months, after you get out of your feelings, because this is too much for you, you say, you know what? I learned this from so and so. I learned this from her. I learned how to do this, or I learned how to balance my day, or I learned how to structure, a PowerPoint presentation, or how to manage QuickBooks, or whatever it is that the entrepreneur is doing. And now you are ready to embark on your own entrepreneurial journey, but that person just they may be going at it in a way that doesn't suit your own personal lifestyle. So a twin flame is always going to help you to rise in some way, but it's also going to burn the bullshit out of you, for lack of a better term.
That is an excellent way of putting it. Yes. That fire is intense. And it kind of speaks to something that I said. I don't know if it was in my last live or the live before that, where love exists, love is a pure thing. And any impurities have to be burned away in order for the pure love to, be uncovered. And that's also the purpose of twin flame love. I mean, it's for personal ascension, right? Both of you are to ascend. It's supposed to help you become the best you that you can be, right? But it's also to get you attuned to the frequency of love. And that frequency is high. It's the highest frequency of all. And it's not going to tolerate bullshit. It's not going to tolerate cheating. It's not going to tolerate insecurities. It's not going to tolerate laziness. It's not going to tolerate any of those things. And so if these are the things that you're dealing with personally, they're going to be reflected back to you via your counterpart, your twin flame. And then you have a choice. Like, the thing about relationships is that it's always about choice. And I think that this is something that a lot of people don't talk about in twin flame relationships. There's multiple choices to make, but ultimately the choice is, what am I going to do with the information that's being presented to me? Because it's really about me. Like, what this person is doing, what this person is saying, whatever these issues are coming up, this is because it's in me and it's being reflected back to me. So now, am I going to sit here and blame the other person? Am I going to say it's all your fault? Am I going to say, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, this relationship isn't working out because of you? Or am I going to take that as information about myself and work on those things so that these things no longer come up? Like, that's the choice, And so I think that this is something that a lot of people they don't talk about as much, and they don't like talking about it because it's work, right? Like, the one thing I will say about divine unions, twin flames, is that it's work. It's hard. It's arguably one of the most challenging things I've had to do or encounter in my life, because I had to be faced with myself. And that can be scary. It can be infuriating. It can be frustrating. But it's ultimately to get you to be a better person and to ascend, right? I know that. So let me ask you this.
Right.
Because it's such like a hot button topic, what do you think about people looking for a twin flame versus sort of naturally falling into it? Did you hear me? Oh, I think you're muted.
That's a good question. Um, think about people naturally. Repeat the question again, Mel, because my computer's frozen. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me? Oh, I think you're muted.
No, I unmuted myself, but I think I'm still frozen. That's a good question. Um,
No, you're not. You're not frozen on
Give me one
this
second.
end.
Think about people. Let me reload the page. Hold on.
All right. So Rob will be back in a minute. But so to reiterate my question, I was saying that all right.
All right. We have my backup.
Yep, you good.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So yeah, I don't know what happened, but he was froze for a second. But
Hmm.
repeat the question again, Mel. Sorry.
So with everyone talking about twin flames and whatnot, what do you think about people like actively searching for a twin flame, or like it just naturally happening in their lives? Like, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I don't think. I think when a person is on their journey, whatever your journey is, whatever your destination is, right? Whether you want to be, you know, someone like Mel, world famous astrologer, someone like me, skilled magician, or be a carpenter, a florist, whatever your purpose is, along your purpose is where you should find your partner. Because at the end of the day, where you're trying to go is where you want your partnership. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. A person could have all the money and all the good looks in the world, but if you can't talk to them about your day to day, if you can't talk to them about your likes and dislikes, or your wants and your desires, or if they can't assist you, even if it's just a word, even if it's just a back rub, even if it's just a foot rub, no matter what it is, if they can't assist you in those things, or if they can't be your companion, you're going to have ups and downs in life as well, right? If they can't make you laugh, if they can't re inspire you, if they can't, or just looking at them makes you want to do better, seeing their example makes you want to do better at whatever your vocation is, then it doesn't really matter. So I don't think anyone should go looking for twin flames. I don't think that's the way to approach it. Your
I think you're cutting in and out a little bit.
Nipsey would say, go to where you're going, and on that destination, you should find people that are in alignment with who you truly are.
Mm.
The thing about this way of life is really about the heart, right? A lot of times we point to the brain and we talk about the mind, but a lot of times when people talk about the mind, subconsciously, they don't realize that they're talking about the brain. But spirituality overall is really a heart centered practice. It's really about getting in tune with who and what you really are, and who and what your purpose is. And a lot of times, the reason why a lot of relationships don't work nowadays is because people are not taking that approach. People are looking at somebody, okay, they have a lot of money. Okay, Sheila has a fat ass. Okay, Sheila's pretty. Okay, John's handsome. All right, he's driving, a Visca, right? He's driving a Bentley or whatever. He got a big house. Okay, let's get together. All right. And then if don't let the sex be good, that's a match made in heaven, right? According to what you see on social media, right? That's a match made in heaven. He got
Hmm.
money, she's pretty, you the fat ass, right? The sex is great. Boom. Let's get together. A month later, let's get married or let's get engaged, right? But what about the core of who you are, right? What if this person's Christian, this person's Muslim? What if you like eating meat and pork and beef and the other person's vegetarian? What if you want to raise your kids, homeschool the children? They want to have the children, in public school or whatever. There's different situations, that real life situations that come up in a relationship. You drink, they don't. You smoke, they don't. You like to travel, they're scared of flights, right? You like to go hiking. They hate bugs in the woods, right? All these different factors really come across as you spend time with someone, as you get to know them. So, as you are on your journey of becoming and being who you are, and it never ends, because even if you have your purpose and you're walking in your purpose, there are still always improvements, right? You could build the perfect building, but something's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a leak, There might be a faucet that doesn't work. There's might be some you got to change the roof, right? There's always going to be something, the chimney. There's always going to be something that has to happen. Electrical issues. There's something that's going to happen. So building your relationship is the same way. There are things that are going to happen. So the best way to meet people is to be in your purpose, to live in your purpose, to shine your light on and off social media so that people could see you and see you for who you truly are and meet people that way. So at least you have a baseline, right? At least you have a foundation. Now the rest of the stuff, right? Whether they snore, you know what I'm saying? Whether they throw their socks on the floor like I do, you know, whether they eat, fish or pork, right? All those things you could sort out as you get to know somebody. But if that person's on their purpose and it matches yours, or it's the alignment in some way, now you could really build on that foundation. So I don't think anybody, my personal feelings, I don't think anybody should go looking for twin flames. I think you should just be in your purpose, live your purpose, and then you will truly attract someone that is in alignment with you. But this comes to knowing thyself, right? And this is part of the work that you do, Mel. Some part of the work that I do is getting you to know yourself and know who you truly are. Because that's really the key. That's really the core. Once you know yourself, you understand your birth chart, you understand your sign, you understand what you love. You take time to go out in nature and ground yourself and really think about what your passions are and what you're here for. You're not here just to get fly. You're not here just to get money. You're not just here to have a lot of sex. You're not here just to exist. You have a reason. And once you understand what that reason is and you're pursuing it, then the way the universe, right? The law of attraction is really the law of vibration. So once you're vibrating at a certain frequency, and this frequency is okay, I'm, a spiritual teacher, then why are you messing with a hood rat, right? Because I have to ask myself that. Like, I'm a spiritual teacher. I read all the time. Why am I fucking with hood rats, Rob? Why is this what I'm attracting? What is it about me that is attracting? What is it about my self-image that's attracting it? How does this person align with my purpose? Now, some would say, well, the purpose is just to bust a nut, right? So let's explore that a little bit, right? So the purpose is just to bust a nut or have an orgasm, right? Okay. When you're busting a nut and you're having an orgasm, after that, then what? Right? You're gonna have to talk to this person. You're gonna sit down and eat, right? You're gonna watch TV. You're gonna be around them. There's still more that comes, even if it's casual, quote unquote, because there really is no such thing as casual sex, right? And there's really no such thing as casual sex. Whenever you bond with someone, there is an attachment. It could be strong, it could be light, right? But there is still an attachment. The people you sleep with, sometimes you'll notice that they'll pop into your consciousness. Even if you slept with them one time, that person will pop into your consciousness or pop into your mind because you formed an attachment. You may not remember, Jocelyn or Joseph at the job, but Jocelyn and Joseph that you slept with is going to come into the stream of your consciousness every once in a while. And to the point where you could even affect, speaking of magic, the direction of Jocelyn and Joseph or Jocelyn, right? So there's always a connection. There's no real such thing as casual sex when you and someone bond. So the quest is to, if you are going to bond with people, even if it's casually, are they, even the quote unquote casual people, what type of energy are you getting from that person? What type of magnetic resonance is that person giving off, right? How is even being intimate with them helping your aura, helping your glow? What are you giving to them? Because sacred energy exchange, right? We talk about it, but it's an energy exchange. You're exchanging energy. So what energy are you giving the person? What energy are they giving back to you? Are they selfish, right? Are they, there's all sorts of things that could come up, right? When you're having these type of quote unquote entanglements. So to directly answer your question again, I don't think anyone should just go looking for a twin flame. You have to already be inflamed yourself. And when you're inflamed
Mm.
yourself, your vibrational match will come to you. And it's up to you to decide if this person really matches you or if this person doesn't.
Yes, very, very true. I like that. You have to be inflamed yourself. Yes. Two words you said that are super important: purpose and knowing yourself. I think that so. why I asked that question was because I think the way that they're selling this whole concept, it makes people, especially women, want to go out and get one, right? Like they sort of paint it as this like it's God and goddesses and this amazing relationship, and yeah, it'll be a little difficult, but yeah, like this is great, like you should have this. It takes the whole Disney fairy tale and turns it up 100%. And so it's a very attractive thing to either people who are lonely or, unfortunately, a lot of women. And so you find people who are really hungry for it. So they want to go out and find that, it's not even just Prince Charming, it's your twin flame. Like, you know how spiritual that sounds? You know how sexy that sounds? Like, that shit is like, oh, this is my twin flame. And, dudes are on that shit too now. Like, oh, yeah, girl, you my twin flame. Like, on some bullshit, right? It's a buzzword.
No, it works. That's what we want to hear.
Exactly. Exactly.
You light my fire.
Exactly. So people are like, I really want this, but then you get into it and it's just like, whoa, this is not what I signed up for. So you
thought it was.
Facts, right? So you've embarked on your spiritual journey, and I have to say that I do agree with you. When you're on your purpose, like when you're on mission, that's when you invariably meet your twin flame. So the best way, like if you really want one, if you're hungry for one, start doing the inner work. They are bound to show up. Like it's almost guaranteed. So you're doing work, maybe you've just started awakening, and that beginning stage of spirituality where everything is like, oh, this shit is so cool. Like, yes, this is great. And then you meet someone
probably
like,
the first person probably meet is the op, to be honest with you. That's how it works.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So you all, you've got your altar, you got your waist beads, and you chilling. And then you meet somebody and it's like, oh shit, like, oh my God. And then you go on your first date and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I've known you forever. Like,
look at his crystals. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, exactly.
Look how his crystals sparkle, girl.
And he's a vegetarian. He practices semen retention. Girl, this is my husband.
Right.
And then shit hits the fan and you're like, I didn't sign up for this. I did not sign up for this. And that's when the real work begins. Keep in mind, the phrase I keep saying, or the word I keep saying, is work. If you are approaching these kinds of relationships from ego, it's going to be extremely difficult for you, because it's more than just work, and it's more than just moving from a place of ego. This gets you into who you truly are. So for instance, let's say that you are someone who's had like a string of bad relationships and you've had issues of like codependency. Maybe you've been left or cheated on, right? And so your quote unquote like normie relationships, it was the usual bullshit. Like you got cheated on, you used to go through his phone, all of that kind of low vibrational stuff. And then you start doing your work, and then finally you meet your twin flame, right? And now all of the sudden, like you have the bubble love phase for however long that lasts. And then all of a sudden you start feeling your insecurities creeping up again. And then what starts happening? He starts going out and not coming home when he says he will. Or he says he's going to call you and he doesn't. Or he all of a sudden seems a little disinterested in you. What do you do at that point? Like what do you think goes through your mind at that point? This is, like I was talking about before, this is where the choice comes in. Now, if you keep in mind the purpose of this relationship, it is for personal and spiritual development, right? So this would be the time when you say, okay, I noticed that my insecurities are creeping up again. Maybe it's time for me to address that. So maybe it's time for me to do some shadow work. Maybe it's time to see a therapist. Maybe it's time to really just address why I feel the way that I feel and where it stems from, and work through that. And that's how you're going to see the situation change. the thing about twin flame relationships or divine unions, I use that term interchangeably because, to be honest, I don't really like the term twin flames, but I'll get into that later. um you know, you can't approach them like a regular relationship, but
Right.
often you don't realize that until you either break up or separate. Because you didn't realize it was a twin flame relationship to begin with, or at least maybe now people do, because I think that everyone talks about it. I know when I was in my first twin flame relationship, I didn't know that phrase.
Right.
I didn't know what that was. I just knew that this relationship felt different, but I was still dealing with the same bullshit I dealt with in the past relationships. So it wasn't until I realized that, and there were other signs that I knew that it was a twin flame relationship after the fact, because I felt that at the time I felt like my spiritual gifts were becoming a lot more heightened. Like, I know in my situation, I started being able to feel people's energy. And that was like the weirdest thing to me, because I could almost tell what my person was thinking or what he was feeling. I could really feel him on an energetic level. And that was something I had never experienced in previous relationships. But, you know, that brings up other issues, but you can't treat these like regular relationships. Like, unless you're willing to level up, unless you're willing to work on yourself, then it's not going to change. The situation isn't going to change, and then you're kind of doomed to repeat the same lessons over and over and over again.
Yeah. The people that you're in a relationship with, um, unless you come to this, unless you come to the relationship, for instance, like you were talking about, going through the shadow work and therapy and things like that. If you have an issue, the thing about getting with someone that's supposed to be a twin flame is you should also be able to, along with doing your own individual spiritual and healing work, should be able to communicate with your partner. Like, you should be able to ask them, like, I heard you said you were going to call. What happened? Right? Hold them accountable. Or you said you were going to do this. What's going on? What's the reason? Right? And pull that person to the fire if that is a twin flame, because maybe it's something that they need to work on. Maybe it's something, and figure out why they did what they did, and if they're lying, right, or if there's some they're misleading you in some way or shape or form, then it's time to move on and take what you got from the relationship and bounce, because there is always a gift. Relationships are reflections of us. They're literally mirrors. And the most important lessons I've had in my life, I don't know about you, Mel, but the most important lessons I've had are from people that I've been in intimate relationships with and people that I've been in long-term relationships with. And like you said, sometimes you do meet your twin flame, or you do meet this person that's part of the divine union, but you're not really ready to do the work to step up to match that energy of that twin flame. You're mentally not equipped. You have issues that you need to work on, such as you were saying, the shadow work, such as doing the internal healing work. And, you know, it may be an issue that, it may be issues that are beyond you. It might not even be time for you to have a partner, right? You may meet this
That
person
part.
that you think is a twin flame, but you're not equipped to be in partnership with anybody. You're still selfish. You still want to do what you want to do. You still want to go out when you want to go out. And you have to be honest with yourself, because there's a time for being single. There's nothing wrong with being single. And a lot of times, especially, spiritual community, men and women, we all want partnership. We all want to be with somebody that understands us. But if you don't understand yourself, if you don't understand where you're going, if you don't understand how to communicate effectively with other people, right? If you're not in the state to say, if I'm with someone and they're challenging me, I'm willing to be open minded. You know, if you're stubborn, you know, if you're bullheaded, you know, if you don't want to change. A lot of times, especially in our communities, Mel, a lot of people, because they can memorize dates and times and events, they think that they have knowledge of self, right? They think that that's spirituality, because they could talk about something that's from the Yoruba, or talk about the Loa, or talk about the ancestors, or talk about deities. They think that that's spiritual work. That's not spiritual work. First thing, when you get with somebody and you're doing this type of work, you want to find out, what are they really doing? Are they really living what they're saying? Are they really living their raps? If they're not really living their rap, then you know it's a rap for you with them. And you have to be willing to step off. Like, I was talking to a young man the other day. He was having some issues with a female, right? And he was like, man, but I don't want to leave her. And I'm like, why don't you want to leave her? He's like, man, she's fine. I don't want nobody to be with her, And I was like, well, what else besides, like, how does she treat you or whatever? It's like, nah, she be yelling and barking and, saying all type of shit. But, that's just the way she is. I'm like, do you like it? It's like, nah, we always argue all the time about that because she don't respect me. So then why you want to be with her?
Because she got a fat ass. Like,
when I look at him, bro,
he's trying to
put it
tell
on me. You know what I'm saying? He's like, and he's telling me all these things that are strictly external things. And it's like, bro, you gotta be ready to leave her. Like, you gotta leave her. And it's okay. You have to know that if this person was dope that you got with, then you could attract another one, right? And this is not to say just keep dumping people and look for the perfect person, because there is no perfect person. Everybody has issues. Everybody has things they're working on till you pass. You're never going to reach the level of perfection where everything is just super perfect. This person, that's happiness is a temporary state of mind. You're not going to be happy all the time. That's why people say, oh, this person doesn't make me happy, or I'm not happy with this person. Well, that's not their job. That's not anybody else's job to make you happy but you. And you join with somebody in your happiness and you come along. But a lot of times what we do is the phrase, man, we trauma bond, right? We bond in our traumas. We bond in what's wrong. We bond. There's even people that are quote unquote conscious that are bonding on what the white man's going to do next. What's the next conspiracy, right?
yeah.
A black power, let's be revolutionary, right? But they ain't doing shit but talking about, what I'm saying, what's happening in the news every day and what's going on in the news site. So you have to, but that's a level of trauma too, right? Where you've been poor, you've been in poverty, you've been taught that rich people are evil. So you don't want to get too rich so you don't become evil, right? All these things are trauma, right? And until you go through and do the work and really know that you're ready to sacrifice your time, to sacrifice your energy, and say, look, this is the time. There's times and spaces where I'm just single. I'm not even seeing anybody because there's work that I'm doing, or there's things that I know I don't have time and space to give to a woman. That's okay. There's times where I'm like, you know what? I have the time and space. I'm ready to date. I'm ready to be with somebody. I'm ready to, work on a relationship and things like that.
Because you know yourself.
Because you know yourself. But if you're not, like, the thing with mundane relationships and the reason why they're so dysfunctional is, again, because they're based on a floppy foundation. If your foundation is not in your spirit, and spirituality is really just dealing with different forms of energy and different forms of emotion. And if you don't know how to manage these different emotions and different energies and different crises in the world or in your neighborhood and your family or whatever, and you don't have the proper tools, right, then you're not going to be good for anybody, including yourself.
Facts. All right. So we've got a question. So Linda says, if you meet a twin flame while you are on your mission, are they there to burn you out or fortify you? Interesting. So I believe that it depends. That's why knowing yourself is super important, because the one thing I will say about a lot of the information that is circulating is that not everyone's journey looks the same. You could be someone who meets the person that you're supposed to be with and y'all heal each other together. You could meet the person who helps you elevate so that you meet the next person. Like, this person could either help you heal or show you what you don't want, right? So I really think that it depends. Like, you have to be like conscious enough to know what your journey is and what it's supposed to look like for you. And it also, like, there is a certain element of desire, right? Like, you want to be, your twin flame should be someone that you have a burning desire for, right? So if you want to make it work with this person, if you are willing to do the work and you see that they are willing to do the work, then of course y'all can fortify each other. but maybe their sole purpose in your life, maybe the sole contract that y'all agreed on was that this person was just going to show you what you don't want or who you no longer are. So it really depends. Like, you really have to be tapped into yourself and your journey and your purpose to figure out what role not just the twin flame plays in your life, but everybody. Like, that goes for everybody. It goes for friends, it goes for jobs, it goes for family members sometimes, right? Like, the twin flame dynamic it's particular to romance, but the foundation of it applies across the board. When you start doing that work, you will know who is for you and who is not. And you will know who is here to help you, and they may be here to help you for a season, or they may be here for the long haul, right? But that's really up to you to figure out and to decide, because ultimately we all have free will, right? And you may be in a situation where, hey, like, I want this person in my life, but it's just not working. Well, then maybe just now isn't the right time. Maybe once you do the work and they perhaps do what they need to do, then maybe at some point in the future, you guys will reconnect or whatever. But to answer your question, it's really all about you. You pretty much dictate and decide what that person means to you and what role they're going to play in your life.
Yeah, and I would also add to that to say it's both, right? A real twin flame or divine union is both. They're gonna burn you up because the whole purpose of really getting a relationship is two people taking a journey on self improvement, right? Two people taking a journey on self improvement, and there's also reproduction if you decide you want to make a family and all that, right? But it's really about two people on a journey of improvement and enjoying each other's company. If you guys aren't coming together to improve each other, then there really is no purpose of you being with the person besides just sex or just busting a nut, right? There really is no purpose, and it's really not going to help you become better. But we all know, even with best friends, right, people of the same sex, that those are the people that you enjoy talking to. These are the people that you enjoy being around. These are the people that make your life better. These are the people you call when you're stressed out. These are the people you call when you're having troubles or going through something. It's the same thing with an intimate relationship. And a lot of times people don't think it should be the same way, but it should be a best friendship if it is truly a twin flame. And a real friend is going to tell you, look, Rob, you're slipping. What's going on? Like, why don't you know what I'm saying? Take your socks off the floor. She's complaining about your socks on the floor, bro. Take your socks off the floor. I mean, it's some simple shit. Put the toilet seat down, right? It ain't gonna drive you crazy, right? That's what a real friend's gonna do. Bro, you getting a little fat. My dude told me the other shit. March. I was mad as fuck. Bro, you getting fat. My nigga, what's going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? You ain't hit the gym a couple months. What's up with that gut? I ain't like it. But this is my boy. I knew him for 20 years. So I know through many situations we've been through, right? He's going to tell me the right thing, whether I want to hear it or not. That's what a twin flame does, because a twin flame wants to see you rise, just like the fire, right? It takes fire to forge a sword, right? It takes fire to forge a sword. It takes you breaking down that coal to get a diamond. So it takes those things a lot of times to become the better version of yourself. So, but as Mel was saying, sometimes you might be with a person where it's too hot. They're doing too much. They're out of control, right? It's something that you don't want to deal with. So you have to really understand if this person is your twin flame, they're going to fortify you and they're going to break you down, right? Just like the military, right? They break you down and build you up. And sometimes that is the case. And if you are with somebody that you feel like a twin flame, they are your reflection. So they're going to reflect back who you truly are and what they truly see in you to help you become the best version of yourself, and vice versa. You're going to look at them and see what's in them that you could see to improve and help them become the best version of yourself. And then you have really a twin flame, two fires rising, right? But you can't be fiery all the time as well, right? There's sometimes the fire or burn the fire, cook the food or burn the food. So it's be both.
True. True. Very true. Very well said. But that brings up another point that I've heard people talk about is like So they have this whole, like, I feel like people put the twin flame dynamic in this whole sort of program, right? They're like, you have this like bubble love phase, and then like your insecurities start to come up, and then there's this whole runner chaser thing. And I feel like people can get really caught up in that, because if you are not conscious of yourself and what needs to be worked on, you will mistake regular degular relationships for a twin flame situation, just because you're breaking up and you're making up, or just because you feel like, oh, you have this great connection with someone but they're ghosting you. Like there's so many different dynamics to this thing that I feel like people are getting very wrong. What do you think about that? Are you familiar with the whole runner chaser thing and the whole way that people sort of structure these relationships?
Yeah, yeah. I'm an ex-professional runner, so I know. I know firsthand about the running from the relationship aspect of it, and um, like what they have. She's a runner. She's a track star. She don't run away when it gets hard, right? So, like, yeah, the runner, the chaser, all those are aspects of hurt, though. You know, they're really aspects of trauma. Uh, Once you are dating or going through these ups and down things with people, it really comes down to your self worth, right? And setting up boundaries and what you're willing to take and what you're willing to not take. And you have to establish that. Like I tell this to women all the time. Like you have to, especially with a man, you have to set boundaries with a man. People think that when men respect bitches, men don't respect bitches. Nobody wants to be around a woman that's nagging, annoying, and getting on your neck about every little thing. But we do respect boundaries. Like everybody respects boundaries, to be honest. But a lot of women don't erect boundaries, which is what I've discovered in my dating world. I can only say that, and I've seen it, and there's sometimes I'll be dating women. I'm like, yo, if I was a different dude, man, I would take you on a ride of your life as far as money and just time and having you do everything
Well, at
for
least you're
me and things
honest.
like that. Because some women do that. Yeah, some women don't. I don't do it because I've always had this character, even with spirituality. But I know that a lot of men that are not thinking like me, are doing this to women. But if a woman sets a boundary and says no, yeah, you like him, he's handsome, he's cute, he has money, he takes you, he's opening the door, he's buying you food, whatever, you nice rest, whatever the case is. If he does something that you don't like and you don't check the shit, guess what? You're giving him an excuse to do it again. You're telling him it's okay. Oh, I said I was going to call. I didn't call. I tell you in my personal life, right? The women that check me when I don't call are the women I respect the most. If I say I'm going to call and I don't call and a woman calls me out on it, I respect that shit. You know what I'm saying? I respect it because she's telling me what she doesn't want. She's telling me the way she wants to be treated. This means she has a high value mindset, right? We're not talking about Kevin Samuels. She sees herself as worth something. She sees herself as a person that deserves to be treated the way she wants to be treated. And if you can't do that, she's willing to walk out the door, but she's going to check you on it, right? And if she checks you on it, and then you develop a level of respect, and that could be with anything, toilet seats, whatever, right? I'm just using random examples, but you know what I'm saying. If they're not calling, they're not texting back, they say they're going to do something. Make sure that you check the behavior at the door, and it doesn't have to be mean. You don't have to be an asshole about it. Hey, you said you were going to call last night. What happened? Oh, blah blah blah, was busy, this came up, all right. Well, if something comes up in the future, let me know, because um I love hearing from you. And when you say you're going to do something, the type of caliber of man that I think you are, you're going to keep your word, aren't you?
That's a very nice way of putting it.
Right? Now not only did you compliment them, right, but now you're saying that, okay, you said you're a person of a certain caliber. When you met me and when we were dating and when we did this, you acted like you were a person of this caliber. So are you really a person of this caliber? Or are you full of shit? Right? So now you're putting yourself in that position. So And a lot of people do it in a nasty way. They do it in a mean way, and you're just going to run people off. You know what I'm saying? You're going to run anybody off doing it. But if you present it in a way, and the way to do that is just think about it if it was something like I try to say, put it in a workplace situation. If somebody did something that you didn't like, you ain't just going to start yelling and screaming at them. You can't, right? Because you're in a workplace environment. So your relationship is a workplace environment. So if you approach disagreements, if you approach um, misunderstandings in a workplace way where you're going to sit down and talk things out or you're going to iron things out. And if that person's not with it, then that person's not for you. But you should be approaching your disagreements, right? If you feel dishonored, if you feel like somebody's playing games with you, you should check them and you should let them know, nah, this is not what it is with me. This is not the way I get down. This is not the way I move. If it's a mistake, now people make mistakes, and some people are like, oh, there's like people make mistakes, so you can't get mad at somebody if they make a mistake, or let's say you fall asleep or whatever. Like those things happen. Or I was supposed to text you, but I fell asleep. All right, that happens. But if it happens like 2 times, 3 times, it's a pattern, and you're seeing a pattern. Yeah, check the behavior. Let them know or let her know, like, nah, this is not what's up. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to somebody recently. Well, I mean, let me use another example. They might be on this call. But I was talking to somebody and, and I was talking to somebody, right? And we got in a situation and she was like I would text her and she would text back like the next day. You know what I'm saying? She would text back like a day later. And I was like, yo, like text you, I text you, I reached out to you, but I don't hear from you the same day. What's going on? Oh, I'm busy with the kids, whatever. I'm like, that's cool, I understand, but just like I said, let me know something. Like, let me know what's going on. So, so this way I'm not anticipating your call because I look forward to hearing from you. All right, boom, does it again. Yo, what's going on? Like, boom. There's another excuse. All right. So the third time, look, this isn't going to work. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. I appreciate my time with you, though. I know we have fun, but until that gets, till till you have more time to deal with me, and until you could keep your word as far as what you said to me, this isn't going to work because that's important to me. That's it. And you keep it pushing. This world is full of millions of people, right? Millions of people. And if you stand in your value, you stand in your truth, and you stand in what you want and what you desire, it's again the law of vibration. If you maintain a certain vibration, you're not going to allow, you're not going. If you are a king wearing a crown, right? You're not going to step in the middle of a war zone. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to put yourself in the garbage dump. You're not going to be walking around in the garbage. Those things you're not going to do. So you don't want to do the same thing in a relationship. You want to value where you put yourself, value where you are giving your attention. Energy flows where energy flows where attention goes. So you just want to make sure that the person values you the way you value yourself, and that's very important.
Very well said. I do want to make a distinction. Like, your response is perfect. And it's also from someone who is self aware, right?
Mm, yeah.
Because I know when I was in my previous twin flame relationship, I was not self aware. And so that wanting to convey what you said is maybe how your brain thinks. But ultimately, especially if you're in the beginning stages of your development, you are speaking from a place of either fear, trauma, or hurt. And so it's not that, I don't think that people automatically have bad intentions, but it's like the thing about twin flame relationships is that they are triggering on multiple levels.
Yeah,
It is to test every
that's a fact.
single every single insecurity, every single fear, every single wound. It is going to come up to smack you in the face. And it's begging you. It's like, basically it's telling you, listen, this could be really good, but you got to work on yourself. You got to work on yourself. But if you don't, it could be a dumpster fire. Like, for real. And so it's really important to do your shadow work, do your inner work. And it's not to say that you need to do all this work before you can be in a relationship. Because to be honest, a lot of the healing work comes from being in the relationship. So you
Fact.
really need to start working on yourself and then allow the people that come into your life, twin flame or not, just anybody, to reflect to you where you're at and to serve as information to show you what you need to work on. But yes, there will be a point where you'll be conscious enough to say, oh, this person didn't call me, right? It's not that they're automatically cheating or they're automatically doing this. Maybe something did happen, but I'm conscious enough to communicate honestly and openly and say, listen, I didn't like this. Like, talk to me. What's going on? Instead of being like, you cheating motherfucker. I knew this
What
was
the
going to
fuck is wrong
happen.
with you, man?
That's why I went through your phone. Who's this bitch? But like,
I bust the windows in your car.
right?
I pop your
So,
tires so you go anywhere. Like, yeah. And there's
yeah.
attachment too. Like you have to really, part of this work, and it takes a while to get to this point. And I've been through a lot of relationships. The thing about relationships is if you don't learn the lesson, you're going to repeat whatever it is. Like, for instance, boundaries was a lesson that I needed to learn for myself. And that comes from, I'm honest enough to say, that comes from self-work. You know what I'm saying? Knowing who you are and knowing your real value. So depending on what childhood traumas you have, your relationship is going to uncover that. All your relationships are going to cover that, whether you're insecure, whether you have an attachment. Attachment is a big deal. Like people are really attached to the idea of being in love or the idea of being with someone forever. And the only thing you really supposed to be attached to, and I know this sounds, what do they call it? Sounds fucked up for the romantics, but the only thing you're really supposed to be attached to is God and the God within you. That's it. That, your children, you nurture them, but even them, they're not yours. You know what I'm saying? They're going to grow up and be whatever they want to be and do whatever they want to do. Nobody's mama gives birth to a serial killer, right? That kid decides whatever they're going to do and they become a serial killer. So you have to really be careful with attachment. And along the journey, you learn that. Like you learn, okay, this person is a partner, but I'm not gonna, like the R&B songs, like I'm not gonna die if you leave, right? I'm not gonna die without you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Right.
gonna, I'll breathe again. If you if you leave, shout out to Tony Braxton. I'll breathe
Yes.
again if you leave. If you're not here, I'll be all right. And you have to understand that the person that you partner with is really designed to be that, a partner. They're designed to be somebody that is going to help you in some way, shape, or form. And that help may not come again in the way that you think it's going to come. It may not come in a package that you think it's going to come in. And sometimes it's sometimes it's too much. You know what I'm saying? Some people are egomaniacs with trying to help people and change people. They're looking at it from an ego basis. I could help. Like, for instance, you might meet somebody, like, you meet a woman and you might think, especially being a spiritual person, you'll meet a woman and think, oh, I could change them or I could help them become better. I could put them in goddess mode. And that's not really your job. It's not really your job. Your job is to be a partner, and they should already be at least going. That's why it's important to meet them where you're going, because you should already be on a path and that person should already be on a path. And all you got to do is work out whatever little kinks. But you can't really change anybody. You can't. You can't change not each your partner, your lover, your husband, your wife. You can't change anybody. The only person you could change is you. You could give advice. You could share wisdom. But at the end of the day, a person's going to do what they're going to do. So the idea of non-attachment, which is what the Buddhists teach, which they got from Cometians, is very, very apropos when dealing with relationships. Don't go so far in to where you lose yourself. I've done this myself in relationships. When you go so far in and you lose yourself, you're so in love with this person. You want to see them happy all the time. You want to make sure that they're enjoying themselves and they're at peace and, laughter or whatever. And a lot of times that's up to them. You could aid in that, but if that person's not happy, that person's not going to be happy. You know what I'm saying? You could do a million things and that person may still not be happy. And you have to then come to the point to realize, is this the person really for me? Is this the person that I want to be with? And it takes time. Don't rush in. Fools rush in. Take your time when getting into a relationship. It may be hot, it may be passionate at first, right? It may be the best flame, the most burning desire that you have for this person. But give it time. Give it time before you go all in and put your whole all, and you're moving in the first 2 weeks, and you moving a man in within the first month, or you're moving a girl in with her kids the first 2 months or whatever. There's crazy things that happen out here. You really got to be careful because you don't really know this person. You know their representative when you first meet them. And that representative may be great. It may be everything that you thought you wanted in the world. But until time passes, you don't really know. So you really have to be careful as far as, I think, as far as dealing with that whole idea of a twin flame, because everything is, there's a song by I forgot his name. I could see his face, but I forget his name. But it's a song called "The Newness," and he's like, he's with a girl and he got caught up, and it's really, and that's like a song that plays in my head whenever I meet a woman and I'm just like open and I'm like, yo, this girl's amazing. I'm calling my sister about her. I'm the song in my head is always like, this is just a newness. This is just because it's new. That new relationship energy, it feels good. But you don't know what it's going to be like 6 months down the road. You don't know if it's going to be 9 months down the road. You don't know if you're going to have to cut bait. It's really what it is. And you have to be okay and comfortable with being willing to let go of someone. That's very important.
Detachment is key, and
And your purpose will keep
understanding.
you aligned. Your purpose
Mhm.
will keep you from feeling so down about it and keep you from feeling so depressed and stressed about it.
True, because again, part of this, I mean, this, like you said, it comes as you're doing your purpose. So it's not like you're sitting there doing nothing, waiting for this person. You've got work to do in the meantime. I mean, not even in the meantime, throughout this whole thing, you have a job to do. And for some, I believe y'all have a job to do together. So even once you get to the stage where shit is good, right? Like if y'all are doing your work and you really have a cemented relationship, you typically have a job to do together. That's probably why you've been brought together. Now, you may not be doing exactly the same thing, but both of you are going to be in your purposes. You're going to be on your missions, and you're probably integral to each other's missions, and you're probably helping each other with each other's missions. It's not about being laid up all day looking cute and having sex, right? Like, although that can be part of it, but that's just
It
not
should
why
be.
you're. It should be, right, but y'all have work to do. So the work always continues. Like Nipsey said, the marathon continues. There's always more to do. There's always more to work on. I know that we had a question. Let's see what we got here.
Oh, that, while you looking for that, the song is Eric Roberson, "The Newness." Eric Roberson. I would
Ah,
encourage everybody to listen to that song because it's really what you go through when you first meet a relationship, and it's very insightful, and it's something that you'll always remember when you start a relationship to not get caught up.
okay. Cool, cool. All right. So the question is, if you experience molestation as a child, does it make it harder to find your twin flame or soulmate? I don't believe that it makes it harder to find them. If you are on your purpose, if you're doing what you need to do, like it's almost guaranteed that you will meet your twin flame or your soulmate. Now, the issues that come up when you're in that relationship, if you have unhealed trauma from what happened to you as a child, that will come up in some way, shape, or form in the relationship. But it doesn't preclude you from being in a relationship, finding a twin flame or soulmate. No, I don't think it does. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I don't think so either. As long as you're doing your work, your shadow work, your trauma healing, therapy, whatever works for you to get to the point to where you are in a space of healing. And I think with certain trauma, you never really get over it, but you can lighten the energy around it. Right? You can make the energy around it not so disturbing.
Mm.
And one of the keys is to, well, I'm not going to go into the whole function, but one of the real keys is to um, have a partner that's understanding of that situation, and that's okay, and not going to throw something like that back in your face. And again, that's something that's going
Mm-hmm.
to take time. I wouldn't necessarily reveal that. Sometimes you meet people too and they reveal too much too soon. And not that you're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
hide certain things, but you can't trust everyone. The CIA doesn't give everybody the information on quote unquote UAPs or UFOs for a reason. There's a reason it's hidden. There's a reason Freemasonry, they have signs and symbols for the elite that they don't want you to know, right? Because if you know, you could do damage. I mean, look at the little bit of occult magic information where you could put period blood in somebody's drink. And there's women all across that know nothing about spirituality that's putting period blood in men's drink and men's
That's what
food.
I meant. Men are like not eating spaghetti anymore. Like they're all scared of shit because that's what
Yeah,
everybody
I don't
does.
do it. Yeah, I see that spaghetti, that pasta. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. So yeah, you gotta know, like they say, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Take time before you get into really, really intimate relation. When you get into revealing your inner self like that, that might be something that takes months, where you see that this guy's understanding of different things and he can handle, that type of information, and it's not a big deal, or it's not. He's not going to bring it up. Like, you get in an argument. Oh, that's why you went through this as a child, or that's why your mama or your daddy put you through this. Like, that's definitely not a twin flame. That's definitely not somebody trying to improve you. So yeah, definitely take time before you just release that information, and make sure that that person that you're with is able to is understanding. And the best way to get to know somebody is really when some shit hits the fan. That's when you really know
Mm,
who they are. When
yes.
everything's good, everything's good. When shit is bad, that's how you know you really got someone in your corner.
Very true. And to the same point, you also cannot delegate your healing to anyone else. And so, in revealing things too soon, it may be like a signal, like I want you to help me heal this,
Mm-hmm.
or I need to lean on you for this. And healing begins and ends with you. Like, it has to be an inside job. It has to be
Good point.
something that, there are people, it's not to say that people in life won't help you, but you can't delegate that to anyone else. Just like you can't delegate your happiness to anyone else. You have to have it within you already, and it will be reflected back to you. That's why if you are constantly projecting unhappiness, that's why it's constantly projected back to you. That happiness, that love, that everything, that emotional stability, security, all of that starts with you. When you give it to yourself first, that's when you see it reflected back to you. So you definitely want to, like I said, it's not that you need to be healed and perfect before you get into this relationship. However, there is a significant amount of work you need to do on yourself first before you sort of invite someone into what all is going on.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like you said, it's about choices, the people you choose. Some people have what they say broken pickers, right? You're picking the same person, or you're picking a person with the same attributes. I said this in the last live we did. I did a reading for a sister, and she, you know, always does readers with me, and it's like this is like the fourth guy into the same archetype. You know what I'm saying? Same archetype, make money, certain height, you know, and look a certain way, and it's the same, like literally the same thing. It's the same external foundation, but it's not the internal qualities that she claims that she wants. So you really have to understand again, and I want to stress this, that it's really not about yes, the external is what gets you there, right? You want somebody that's attractive, you want somebody that looks good, you want somebody that you're proud to have on your arm. That's great. You want somebody that's stable, that has their own money, that's taking care of themselves, that can provide. You want all of that, right? But make sure you're taking care of yourself too. Make sure you can provide for yourself as well, right? Make sure these qualities that you're seeking in someone you have as well, so that you're not a liability, but you're an asset to that person. So you have to go. A lot of people go into relationships just wanting, right? I want her. She got a fat ass. I want her. She's pretty. I want her. She looks like this. And I want to cuff her. I want to hold her. I don't want anybody to talk to her. I don't want anybody to look at her. Try to change her way of dress. Like, why did you get with her? You know what I'm saying? If you knew this is the way she was. Now, mind you might get in a relationship. You might want to tailor some things that work for you.
Like,
If
maybe
you
you
met her
shouldn't be
on
showing your nipples all the time. Like, maybe
Right,
you
but if
should
you met her
cover
on
up a
the
little
internet,
bit.
if you just met her on the internet showing her ass and titties, right? I mean, What do you expect is going to happen? You think because you magically get with her that you're going to save her, right? We have a lot of times we get in a relationship with these savior complexes. And again, your job is not to save anybody. It's only to give advice, and it's only to see if they're receptive. You know what I'm saying? And if they are growing themselves. But if they're not growing themselves, they're not receptive, then it's time to move on. And if you're not growing yourself, and if you're not going to be receptive, it's time to move on. Some people just want to do what they want to do. And you got to understand that. Some people are meant for a lifetime of singleness. There's every option available in the world, then single is an option. That's what happens. People are poly, right? That's an option. Some people are single. That's an option. It's really up to you. But you have to come to an understanding. And this is where grounding, going out in the nature, right? And searching your heart and sitting in silence and meditating and searching your heart really comes from. Because once you are in alignment again with your heart, you know how to choose people that are in alignment with you. And you may still make mistakes, right? But at least you know how to erect boundaries to know that you're not going to make that mistake long, right? Now I see some things, and in a week or two, because I've erected my boundaries, I'm like, oh, this ain't going to work. It's time to keep it pushing, right? Sometimes it's just meant to be a friend. Sometimes it's just meant to be a quote unquote fling. That's okay. It's okay till you find a person that's right for you and you feel like, okay, I could rock with this person. I could be with this person. I could be around them. I could trust them, right? Trust has to be earned as well. So a lot of things are important. And are you trustworthy as well? A lot of times people are looking for things out of people that they're not willing to be themselves.
Or they
So you
don't know
have to,
how.
everyone is your reflection. Everyone that you are intimate with and close with, including your friends and those you hang around with, are reflections of you.
Exactly. Exactly. I also feel like when it comes to qualities, right? A lot of times I feel like if you're in a true like twin flame relationship, and by that I mean like you will know if something is divinely ordained. Okay, you'll know it because it feels different, it looks different, it acts different. The things that were important to you in other relationships will not be important to you in this one. It'll be different things that'll be important to you. And when you're really truly in alignment with who you are, you may have to expect the unexpected when it comes to some of those qualities that you look for. Meaning, I'm talking about superficial qualities, like how tall the person is, if they've got good teeth. Like, of course, these are things that we look at first from an ego perspective. However, when you are really in alignment with who you are on a soul level, it is a soul to soul attraction. And it may look slightly different than maybe what you're used to. I know that was my experience. This person did not look like my type.
Right.
And at first I had an aversion to this person. Not that I was like, oh, this person's ugly or whatever, but I was just like, oh, you nice, but like chill, like you mad short. Like why you even talking to me?
The short guys, man. They need love too.
Oh, of course. Everybody needs love, right? But it has to be like to have the relationship that they're trying to sell you, right? This whole twin flame thing. It's a soul to soul connection. And some of
Yes.
the people that are your type may have undeveloped souls. They may have, nasty souls. They may have no soul at all, right? And if you're stuck on, oh, he tall, oh, he's a doctor, or he's got this, or he does this, or she's got that, like you're missing the whole point. However, maybe that relationship is to show you that superficiality is not the way to go. That's another thing. Like I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and they were like, yeah, when I have an ex, like that ex, like I never speak to them again. Like you're an ex for a reason. I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with that, because I can't call myself saying that I loved, like at some point I loved you. I said I loved
Right.
you. I laid down with you, and now I would never talk to you
Never
again.
speak to you again. Yeah, that's
Like
weird.
that shit makes absolutely no sense to me.
Right.
Like, oh, if I see you on the street, I'm across. Like, why? At one point, you were doing some things that maybe you don't want other people to know you were doing, right? Because you were so in love with me, and now all of a sudden you don't want to talk to me. Like everyone, there's a reason and a season for everyone in your life. Everyone is not your enemy. The thing is that hurt people hurt people. A lot of times we take shit real personal. We're like, oh, they did this to me. They did this, they did that. It's really not personal. The person is just acting from their own consciousness, right? Just like you would want to be forgiven for acting from your own consciousness, right? And so everyone has something to teach you. Everyone has something to show you. Everyone has something to impart on you on your journey. So even if a relationship didn't work out, like you could, I hear spiritual people do it too. Oh, my ex was like this, my ex was like that. And it's like, wait a minute, like, are
And
you
that's a red
really,
flag. That's a
yeah,
red flag.
are you really on this journey? Because I'm not saying that you got to be best friends with this person, right? But you can
Just
at
don't bash
least,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
at least you can see what they brought to your life and thank them for that and bless them on their way, right? So don't think of it in terms of you against them. We are all one. We are all connected to the same consciousness. So it's really important to take the lessons from your past relationships and see, not just see the patterns that are recurring, but see what you've learned. Because undoubtedly, if you're on this journey, an issue that was an issue in this relationship, once you get to this relationship, it's probably not even an issue anymore. Like you've worked past it, you've ascended past it. You may have been codependent before, and now you are detached. Like you can let someone just be who they are without thinking that it's a personal attack to you, right? But I just thought that shit was wild. I'm like, yo, like if I said I loved you, like I was in a 4-year relationship with you and I loved you, now when I see you, I'm like gonna like act like I never met you before. Ridiculous. I feel
Yeah,
like
that's weird.
a lot of the relationship rhetoric that we're hearing is super super toxic. And the problem is that they're weaving this twin flame thing into it as well. Like you'll have people who stay in an abusive relationship because, oh, like he's just the runner. He's just running and he's going to come back. No, no, baby. That's about how this is how you're showing up in the relationship. He's reflecting to you what you need to work on. It's not about, oh, just wait for him to come back, or because we break up and make up, that's my twin flame, or we have the best sex, like we do sex magic, so this is obviously my twin flame. It's like, what? Like, no, honey. Like, like,
Right.
please.
That's so basic, yeah. But
Yeah.
when we think of things in terms of, oh, you finished, man? I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to
no,
cut
go
you off.
ahead.
No, when you think of, see, there's a neck down philosophy. My boy Ken Brisbane always talks about like the neck down, thinking from the neck down, where
Mm-hmm.
you think everything is just physical, right? Like you said, the
Mm-hmm.
sex, the money, the looks, right? The height, the attractiveness, the size of the booty, all that. It all is neck down activity. And it's really you being in your animal consciousness, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
you being in that part of, now that is part of us. You are part animal, you are part mammal. So we do have that in us. We have that animal nature within us, or else we wouldn't even lust. We wouldn't even have this desire to be with another person. So that is part of the animal nature in us. But the thing is, you have to come to the table to the point to where that's not the priority because you are a God being. So now this is where the mind comes in, right? This is where you're going above the point of just the animal nature and the animal attraction to get now into the nuts and bolts of who this person is. And like you said, it does take time to learn these things. Something that not even get tonight off this live, or you may not even get out of the next relationship, because matters of the heart are the strongest matters in the world. Like, to me, like every relationship that I've had that has been long term, I've learned valuable lessons. And a lot of them are good. They're not all bad. Go back in some of your past relationships of the people that you bash or the people that you hate. Like even homegirl, like she should look and see what she learned from these guys. Like what good things that these guys impart on her. Because there's something good, or else you would have never put your plug in an outlet or allow that plug to come inside your outlet, right? You would never slept with this person if they didn't have some qualities that were attractive to you, some qualities that you liked. So there's always qualities in the worst person, the most heinous person you have been with. There are qualities in them that are admirable. There are qualities that are good to imitate. There are qualities in them that are, I remember I was dating this girl, totally toxic, right? Super toxic. But one thing about her, she used to always take notes. Whenever she was writing something, whenever she saw something on the internet, whenever she was, talking to somebody on the phone, she always took notes. And she always was like, yo, put it on paper because you'll always remember it instead of just trying to keep things in your mind. So, as toxic as she was in all the other ways, guess what? I take notes all the time when I'm watching you. See, as quick as I can pull it up on my desk, I'm always taking notes. When I'm watching YouTube, when I'm doing something, I take notes. When I'm reading, I take notes. I highlight because now that habit that I learned from her, now I've implemented it into my life to make my life better. So you want to look for those things. It's very easy to bash your ex. That's the easiest thing in the world. To me,
Yeah.
that's a red flag. When I hear a woman talking to my ex this, my ex that, my ex this, he's this, because you're gonna talk about me like that if something happens. You're gonna talk about me to your girlfriends. And geez, if you talk about him like that before me, yeah, this ain't gonna last long. You know what I'm saying? If it
Mm-hmm.
lasts long. So you really have to be aware of the type of people that you are allowing in your space and that you're allowing to be around. And again, I want to say this again. I know I said it before, but don't rush. Like that's the thing. A twin flame could be, two crackheads are twin flames.
Crackheads,
Two
you said?
crackheads. They're twin flames. It ain't divine, yeah, it ain't spiritual, but they both have the same objective when they wake up to get some crack, to get some money for some crack, and to figure out how they're gonna get the money for the crack. And they on a mission, and they have a
And they work
purpose.
together.
They have
You
a
are
purpose,
absolutely right.
and they work together, and they sleeping together, and they party together, and they argue together,
And they
and they wake
freebase
up
together. Like,
and they sleep.
yes.
Yeah, that's a twin flame relationship. Believe it or not. Now
You're
it's
right.
on the lower vibration scale, right? Obviously, it's definitely root chakra survival mode, but it's still an example of a twin flame relationship. So you really want to understand the person. Are you guys aligned? Do you smoke crack? I'm sorry, I'm silly. Go ahead, Mel.
I know that makes complete sense though. I really like that analogy because you're absolutely right.
Hmm.
The alignment is the same. It's just what frequency are you on? What vibration are you on? Like y'all don't have to be the next Jesus and Mary Magdalene, right? Like
Right,
y'all can be, you know, the king and queen of your own kingdom, whatever that
right.
looks like, as long as you are equally yoked, right? As long as you're on the same wavelength with the same mission. That's why it's called twin. Let me see. There was this comment here. So it says, I think there are some things that a person can do that would make me not want to talk to them again. I'll still be cordial with them when we see each other out because it'd be weird to try to ignore. Yeah, it's not to say that you have to be buddy buddy with somebody.
Right.
Like, yes, and of course, if you ended things on a bad term or things got crazy, like, of course, it's going to be weird when you see them out. But if you really are about this life and you're really doing the work, it probably won't even be weird because you're going to understand why they were in your life and what they showed you. And even if you don't feel like going up to them and hugging them and saying this, that, and the third, no one's saying you got to do that. But you can just be like, yo, I recognize you for who and what you were in my life. And that's cool. And I wish you well on your journey. That's it. No one is saying you got to take selfies with them and, drink and all do. No, you don't need to do all that. But yeah, if there's weirdness, that's also not a bad thing either. Maybe it just shows where both of you need to still do the work, right? Either way, if you're on your journey, like you'll understand what that person really was for you. Okay.
Yeah, and everybody is a reflection of you. So showing love to them and saying hi. You don't gotta, again, like Mel said, take hugs and take selfies and all that. But saying hi, how you doing, being cordial, like you said. What you do for them, you're doing for yourself. So
Mm.
you expending that energy and being cordial is you being cordial to yourself and not making things awkward. Because I mean, if you're gonna see them or you might be in a space with them and they're there, you don't want it to feel awkward. Like low vibrational energy. That's negative energy. So even if it's just you who breaks the ice and just says hi and shakes hands or whatever, that's cool. Just break the ice. But just to bring that energy, again, it's about keeping the energy high and raising the, because again, that's how you attract. But you might say hi to the ex and be in a spot and somebody sees you and then they see how you handled it, and shit, your real twin flame might be right across the street
Mm-hmm.
or in the same event or whatever, and just sees the way you handle yourself and the way you move. So again, it's about keeping that vibration so you can really attract what you want. The law of attraction is really the law of vibration. So you don't get what you want, you get who you are.
Facts. Facts, facts, facts. All right, let's see. Do we have any more questions? I don't think so. So, do you kind of want to talk about your personal experiences in twin flame relationships?
Child. How they say, girl? Nah, shit, man. Yeah, I've had some twin flame relationships that were very intense. I had a long term relationship that was very twin flamish, but although I'm not in the best of terms with this person, I am very thankful for them because of the things that I learned from them about myself. And, just certain things as far as um, people, sometimes there's people that challenge you to do different things, to step outside of your box. And this particular twin flame relationship was somebody that challenged me to step outside of my box. I was always a reader. I was always a person that studied, but at one point I was very conservative, a little standoffish. Didn't really communicate a lot. Thought I was weird, at some points because of my mindset and things like that. I think of spiritual people or people that are aliens to this planet have that ghost DNA in them. We all feel, that people are weird, right? People are strange. Like I call them the humans. The humans are strange. So that's where I was. I was just very standoffish, not really messing with a lot, not really talking to people and things like that. Dressed a certain way, and this relationship got me to expand my horizons, step outside the box, do different things, uh, be more open and free and things like that. Now, on the other side of the twin flame relationship, it wasn't really the best relationship for other reasons, and one of them was spiritual. At the time, again, I'm a reader, I'm a studier, I'm a person who does spiritual work. This person didn't do that. Fine as hell, but she didn't do any spiritual work. So there was always clashes about food. There was clashes about how to nurture things and how to organize things, and um, even as far as work and time and jealousy and just certain things that will come up. And sometimes when people try to motivate you and show you certain things, there's a way to deliver a message. And I think in that situation, she wasn't the best at that at the time. But we were both young in that relationship. So that's just one aspect of a twin flame relationship where even though it doesn't work out, you could still, and I'm very thankful for her, what I'm saying, in particular, because of that. And I'm thankful really for all the relationships that I've been in. Because again, now that I've gained a certain level of spiritual knowledge that I've been earned and gifted with, I see why I went through these relationships. I see the value in them coming into my life and helping me to become the man that I am now. So I'm very grateful. But yeah, that's just one aspect of a twin flame relationship where you go through some things, but that thing, there's a bigger purpose, and that purpose is to make you better. Like I wouldn't be on YouTube if I never dated her. I wouldn't be on YouTube. If I never dated her, I wouldn't be cracking jokes like I am today. You know what I'm saying? Those are things that she helped me uncover. So even though in other areas, like I want to choke her, you know what I'm saying? If I see her now, my hands are still like this because of some other shit. But I got love for her because of what she did in my life, and I'm grateful for it. So
Mm.
that's just an aspect of a twin flame relationship where it may not be where you're going to be with them for the rest of your life, and you
No.
guys may not be evenly yoked. but you got with that person for a reason. You were attracted to that. God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, made you attract to that person. And that's the person you decide to be with in whatever stage you were in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to honor that and value that. Even if it was bad, even if it was abusive, even if it was, there's physical abuse and there's verbal abuse, even if it was abusive, you have to value that because it teaches you what to do for the next person, for the person
Mm-hmm.
you're really supposed to be with, for the person you're really designed to be with, for the person that really is truly going to be your soulmate, right? And I like
Mm-hmm.
soulmate more than I like twin flame because
Mm-hmm.
I think the soul is, well, not I think, I know the soul is really the source of all things. And when someone sees you, like they say in Avatar, right? When they were mating, I see you, or they're greeting, I see you, or namaste, right? They would say in the Hindu, well, not the Hindu, in Buddhist culture, I see you, namaste. That's the important part of the relationship. And you really want to be able to see yourself so you can see other people. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's my example.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Makes sense. So, being a woman, I think that my twin flame experience was very typical of what a lot of they talk about. So, when I got into the relationship, I didn't know anything about that. I started my spiritual awakening in like 2012, and I met this person in 2013. And funny thing is, I dreamt of him 6 months before I met him, but I didn't know that until like we had been together for like a year, and I realized that dream like was actually him. And so at the time, a lot of my spiritual gifts were starting to come online, and I couldn't quite really understand it. I just knew I had this really great relationship. Um, but and then when I figured out when I heard the term twin flame, I sort of fell into that YouTube rabbit hole of just watching all of those videos and being like, oh yes, he broke up with me, so he's the runner, but he's gonna come back and all this other bullshit. And that relationship tested everything about me, all of my insecurities, all of my fears, and not just in relationships. Like I had my own business at the time. I had my own law firm at the time. And this person was challenging even my entrepreneurial skills,
Mm.
challenging like every single thing was being challenged. And I couldn't understand why. And of course, I was like, yeah, this is his fault. He's an asshole. He did this, he did that. And of course, it didn't work out, but I thought it was supposed to. I thought this was the person I was supposed to be with. And so I'm trying to do all the things to make him stay, but not enough of the things to change myself. And in
Mm.
changing myself, it would have changed him.
That's big. Yeah.
So we broke up, and I realized that it wasn't gonna come back around. And so I sort of kept on my journey. And during that time, like after a while, like I was told that I needed to be single for quite a bit because I had a lot of work to do on myself. And during that time, still in like my less than enlightened stage, I was like, oh, that whole twin flame thing is not that it's not real, but I was like, yo, I don't really ascribe to that because, it is what it is. And I think, Rob, when we first met, like I sort of said that to you, like, I think
Yeah.
that issue had come up and I was like, yeah, no, I don't really ascribe to that whole twin flame thing.
Yeah.
And then I got into another relationship about 2 years ago, and to me, I was like, nah, this ain't no twin flame shit. That shit doesn't exist. I was like, yeah, no, whatever. And again, it was that challenge. And this was a different challenge now. It wasn't the
Mm.
same issues because the issues from before I had worked on. Now this was different issues. Now this was the first. If I thought the first relationship got to my issues, I had no idea what I was in for, because the real issues, the real deep shit came up, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I can survive this. I'm like, I thought this whole twin flame thing was like whatever. Um, but if had it not been for that relationship, I wouldn't be on YouTube either. I wouldn't be doing any of the things that I'm doing now had it not been for that relationship. And whether you're with that person or not, like you get to a point in your development where that doesn't even matter anymore. Like you're kind of just like, it would be cool if it happens, but if it doesn't, like, listen, like I just leveled up 10 levels. Like you think I'm not going to find somebody else? Like it's
Right.
like you were
Right.
cool. Maybe you were level 8, but I'm on like 14 now. So what are these dudes talking about up here? Right. So the best part and the best gift of these relationships is a better you. That will always be the best gift. And then the bonus is that you get to enjoy it with someone that you're equally yoked with, and someone who, you can go through life with, someone who may help you with your mission, you help them with theirs, and you can have a good life. I don't want you to think that I'm against this whole fairy tale thing. I'm just against the way that they're selling it to you. They're selling it to you as if you have no work to do, as if that's the only reason why you're in this relationship. But if you sort of if you take from the relationship what you're supposed to take from it, all of that fairy tale stuff will come. It will. I mean, it's not to say that every day is going to be a fairy tale, because that's just unrealistic. However, the love, the companionship, the partnership, whatever you're looking for in a relationship, that's a byproduct of whatever it is that you're doing for you, right? So it's really important to know thyself, understand thyself, and work on thyself. That is the true essence of these kind of relationships. And they can be beautiful. They are beautiful because they're basically, someone said this, I heard someone say this the other day, and it really struck a chord with it this way. It's almost like the universe wants to experience, that we are all fractals of God, right? Of source. Twin flame relationships are just God's way of experiencing true love. And so it's a great way to think about it. Like, God doesn't want to experience bullshit. God doesn't want to experience low vibrational shit. So it behooves you to work on yourself so that you can have that dope ass relationship that you want to have. And so you can fulfill your mission. Like, imagine think of the person you would be if, you finally have the courage to do the things that you want to do, right? You finally have the courage to be in your purpose. And then you've got someone who's along for the journey with you and they're doing the same thing. That is heaven on earth. And that is so possible, but you have to do the work. You have to get over the ego. You have to get over the fear. You have to get over the insecurity so that you can enjoy those things. And they're completely possible. You just have to want to do the work. Right?
Yeah, that's the important part. Doing the work, and the work is not easy. Nothing about this, what we embarking on. If you're on this call, you're definitely into spirituality and you're definitely into personal spiritual development. And you have to realize that the work is not going to be easy. You're going to kiss some frogs along the way. You're going to go
And
through some
snakes.
up and down, and it's a fact.
Yes.
Challenge you, but it's all designed to make you the better, highest. Was saying, to bring you into your God force. And once you get into your God power and start developing that and start nurturing that, and it starts to grow and you start to glow again, then that magnet is up. So you're really just doing the work so that you are able to present yourself to that person that's really supposed to be for you, and that person that is supposed to be the one that carries the torch with you, and that you guys could have a flourishing relationship and a nurturing relationship and a loving relationship and a heart-based relationship. But that has to start from a spiritual base. And it's very important, again, as we choose people, to start from that spiritual base. You can't be with somebody if they're Muslim and you're a Christian. Like, how is that really going to work for the long term? I'm sure people do it, but to me, those are people that are not as sincere about their spirituality that they should be. Because the thing is, you guys are going in two different directions as far as how you source energy and how you cope with life's ups and downs. And in order to understand where someone is coming from, you have to be able to go where they're going. Now, you may understand them being a Muslim, or you might understand them being a Christian, right? But are you really, really evenly yoked? Like, if he's praying to Allah and you're praying to Jesus, how's that really going to work? Somebody dies, so you going to the mosque, you going to the church, right? How's that really going to work? What when you guys get older, you guys going to the mosque, or you going to the mosque Friday, going to church Sunday. I guess that could work, but it will be much better if you both are Christian, or you both or into magic, or you both were into astrology, or you both or into, it just makes life easier. It's less challenging. There's less discrepancies. There's less arguments. There's less discussions on what we're going to do with this, and you guys could flow better. And it's all about being in a flow state in a relationship in life. That's when your most knowledge comes. That's when the most wisdom comes. That's when the most enlightenment comes. When you're in a flow state. So if you're in a flow state in your relationship, that's the magic right there. That's a magical thing.
I would have to. Here's what I'll say to that. I think that every situation is different. And I think that you can be evenly yoked, even if you're different religions, because I think it depends, right? It depends on you. It depends on the person. It depends on your situation. It may be a situation where you are here to both help each other transcend religion, right? Maybe it's a situation where you are both here to open each other's eyes to something bigger. And I truly believe that love is the highest frequency of all. If y'all are on the same frequency, that religion is not going to matter. Are there going to be instances where, yes, you're going to have situations where, are we going to church, or are we going to mosque, or are we going to synagogue? Of course, you're going to have those because you still live in a 3D reality. However, if you're up here, I can almost guarantee that low level shit down here, it's not going to be that big of an issue for you. It's not going to be an issue that's going to make or break you. However, you have to know yourself extremely well. That person has to know themselves extremely well. And y'all have to want to be going to the same destination. If you're not going to the same destination, then of course it's not going to work. Then you're probably not evenly yoked. However, I will say this. I will say that if you are really in a divine union, there are certain things that are not going to matter. There are certain things that you're going to able to transcend. And I feel like those things may not be issues in your relationship, but that requires a high level of self-knowledge, and it requires a high level of, I'm not even going to say spirituality. I think you just really need to be conscious. Consciousness is key. And so if you're able to have a conscious relationship with someone, I think that those issues may not occur. And if they do, it's to show you something, it's to teach you something, it's to help you with something.
Right. All right.
I wasn't trying to
No, I accept that. Yeah, for me, it would be, I don't know, it would be a conflict of interest. I've tried dating like women that are Christian, women that are Muslim. When I start lighting those candles and taking these spirit baths and doing different things that I do, looking at these charts, I really don't want to hear no questions about this or that, or why you doing this, or it's the devil, or I just don't, and that's what I've constantly encountered. Me personally, I can't speak for anybody else, right? But I've constantly encountered that. So now, if you're not conscious, you don't have to be into magic. You don't have to be into this esoteric spirituality I am, but you at least have to be conscious and accepting and aware of my destination and my purpose and what I do and where I'm going and things I'm going to read and study or whatever, and not be judgmental, because I don't have time to argue with you about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have time. I've been a Christian since 1996, so I don't really have time at this stage of my life to argue or go back and forth or deal with those different complications. But I definitely respect your viewpoint and I understand it. And some people it might work, it wouldn't work for me. But some people it may work.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all depends on the person and where they're at and what they need to be working on, right? Because although there may be that difference, that may not be the issue in the relationship. That's the issue that needs to teach you something. That may be a byproduct of something else. Maybe it's a deeper issue. Maybe it has more to do with attachment or abandonment or abuse. Like, the myriad of issues that will come up in a twin flame relationship, like they run the gamut. Don't think it's just gonna be, oh well, I was cheated on once and blah. No, like some of your the point is, and I think that I was saying this before, that twin flame fire purifies the both of you.
Yes.
That's the point of it. And so all of these things have to come up. That's also how you'll know if you are not in a twin flame relationship. Like if you are just shooting the shit, or like, for instance, in between, my two twin flame relationships, I dated other people, and I can tell you straight off the bat, like those were bullshit. Like this was like, I like to have fun, or, or this person's cute or whatever. And I knew that shit wasn't a twin flame relationship, but you're like, oh, well, maybe. Yeah.
You do it, right.
Exactly. Right. But if you are in if you are in a spiritual relationship, like it is guaranteed that your wounds, everything that needs to come up to be purified will. And again, it becomes a choice. What are you going to do? Are you going to still sit in all of that? Are you going to hold on to that? Or are you going to let it go and let it burn in the fire, and then you can rise like the phoenix? It's really up to you. There's also this other concept of choice that I want to talk about. And I think this may be a very specific kind of spin on it, but I just want to sort of explain sort of what I've come to understand in the last couple of months. Commitment is a thing in these relationships, not just in the sense of regular commitment, right? Like you're with somebody, you're committed to them. But if you know that this person is for you, let's say, maybe you've been through other twin flame relationships, or you've been through other soulmate relationships, right? And you meet the person that you think is like the one, right? It requires a certain commitment, not just to them, but to the process, that I think that a lot of people don't talk about also. Because the process is not just you get together and you live happily ever after.
Right.
Like that's not what happens. Like you may have situations, or you may have periods where you are called to be single while in a relationship with somebody. And it's not because the relationship doesn't work. It's because there's certain things you need to do on your own. There's certain work that has to be done in solitude. And you have to say, okay, I know what this is for, but I'm still committed to my relationship. That's hard. And I say that from experience. That shit is hard. Because you have to understand that there's a bigger picture. It's not just about, oh yeah, we're together, it's cool. Like if you are committed to your own development, there are going to be times where it has to be a solo journey for you or for them. And in that time, you don't curse them. You don't like, oh, all right, it didn't work out. Like I learned sort of the hard way that I can't just be like, well, oh, it didn't work out, so let me go over here and see what he's talking about. I went over there. I was like, well, what the fuck is this? I was like, oh, no. No. Okay. All right. I get it now. I get it. So now that I'm in this single season, what do I need to be doing for me? What has to be done? And understanding that that person may be going through the same thing too. It's commitment to the process. It's commitment to knowing that you're getting in this and you're going to be coming out on the other side better. And perhaps your relationship may be stronger than it was before because you had that time to do your work by yourself. Especially if you are someone who is highly spiritual, like there are times where you definitely have to be alone. There are going to be times, even if you are married to the person, even if you are living with the person, there's times where there's work that needs to be done. You need to sleep by yourself. Or there's times where you need to go and do things by yourself. And you need to be strong enough in yourself to be like, all right, I know that this person's not going to cheat on me or anything like that. I also know that if they need their time and they need their space, that I'm not going to be like, oh, well, what's he talking about over here? Or let me try to fill this void with somebody else. Commitment.
Let me see your phone.
Right? Right. And I know, and I'm speaking from personal experience, like that has been the hardest thing for me, because it wasn't just someone that I chose and I'm like, all right, cool, this person's cool. For me, this was someone that was given to me. It was someone that was given to me. And I remember when we separated, I remember I specifically heard like you can't give up on this. Like you have to, this is meant to be, but there's stuff that both of y'all have to do individually. And I said, yeah, God, stop playing with me. Like, don't play with me like that. Cause I'm like, not what this feels like. This feels like this nigga don't want me. So let me go
Right.
find somebody else. And God was like, all right, why don't you do that and see what happens? And I did. And I was like, oh, okay, true. You're right. All right. So, okay, cool. Let me let me calm down and let me figure out what this purpose is and why and what I need to learn in this time. Okay, so there's a commitment to the process. And that's not going to be for everybody. Because I've already been in a twin flame relationship where I knew that was not meant to go the distance. But maybe you will encounter a situation, or maybe you're in a situation that it does. And it's sort of like you really have to ascend from your base, your animal nature, right? To just want to hop to the next thing or find somebody else or replace somebody else, because it's hurtful. It's hurtful when you're not with that person. It's hurtful when you have a season of singledom, right? But it's for a reason. And you gotta remember that reason and be committed to that reason. So if you think or if you believe that you're in that kind of situation, it's not just a commitment to the relationship, it's a commitment to the process. That's super important.
Ashe, Ashe, yeah. Jay-Z got a line. He said, uh, he was talking about women. He said, they they went to the other side. They thought those were the dudes to trust. Little did they realize those dudes was foul just like us, right? So,
Yeah.
so you can't, you might like there's a statement that says, when you leave a relationship, the best way when you leave a relationship, the best way to get over a relationship is to get with someone else, right? To be with somebody else. But that's just putting a band-aid over the issue, right? You need time to heal. You need time to recover. You need time, like you said, to be by yourself, right? Take some time to be by yourself. Take some time to recover from the relationship. If you want to have a hookup or whatever, hey, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing, but don't get into another serious relationship right after you just got out of one just because you're used to being in a relationship. I know I've done that, myself.
I've
Where
done
you
that
used to
too.
be in a relationship for a while, and then as soon as the relationship ends, right, you got somebody that might have been waiting on the back burner, right, for you to break up.
Right?
That happens.
All of a sudden, hey, how you doing? You're like, oh, you're
Right,
available. All right, cool. Let's get booed up. Let's do this. And then all of a sudden, you wake up one day. You're like, what the fuck? Who is
right.
this?
What the hell? Right. What did I bring into? Is a stranger in my bed, you know?
Literally,
you
literally.
know? There's a stranger in my, and it's like that. Like you get into this relation, and look, it's human nature to want to be that way, but to rise above the human is to do the best for yourself, and the best for yourself is really to take time. Again, if you want to hook up and you know you're going to hook up, that's different. We all need our rocks knocked off every once in a while. But if you're getting into a serious, go like wouldn't recommend someone getting into a serious relationship right after they got out of a relationship. And another thing I want to mention real quick is there's like this thing online where people think, okay, I've had all this problem with black men, or I have this problem with black women, or whatever race it is, right? So let me go to the other race, right? And they'll be better. You are who you are, right? You're going to attract what you're going to attract. You get a Spanish, white, Mexican, Asian, Eskimo, alien, hybrid, half breed, cyborg. You're still going to be you. You're still going to be you in that place with that person. There's personality archetypes in every race culture. I've talked to women who've dated white men, who've dated Spanish men, who even lived in Africa. And they all tell me that niggas are niggas. You know what I'm saying?
It's just different
Same thing.
languages and different
That's it.
colors of other
Different
things. But
cultures and different cultures, different colors. Every culture has their pros and cons. Every culture has their pros and cons. And you may like the way this culture does things. You might like the way that culture does things. but it's not about the color because the same characteristic, right? Everything that we think is evil really comes from the animal kingdom. Any negative or quote unquote evil or quote unquote devilish or demonic thing strictly comes from the animal kingdom. They all display those behaviors. We all have animals in us, right? That's why we could call people snakes. We could call people dogs. We could say people are foxy, right? We could say people are creeps, right? Or acting like roaches. These are all animalistic behaviors, right?
I've never heard somebody say someone was acting like a
calling
roach.
cops, calling cops pigs. Oh, that's a Bronx thing. We call people roaches.
I was about to
I
say,
done called
I'm
people
sorry.
dirty
I'm a
roaches.
Brooklyn girl. I'm like,
I
yeah,
done called
we don't
people
talk like that.
roaches plenty of times. But yeah. You know, see,
Wow.
all these people out there looking like roaches, clones. You know, some shit we say. But New York's a busy city, so a lot of motherfuckers be looking like roaches. But yeah, it's like people, but the negative things are part of animal behavior, and you want to make sure that you're not looking at people just based on their race and based on their nationality and think that if you go over to the other side, you know, or you like the passport bros, you go overseas, or the divestment girls, you know, you date white men, and you know, yeah, everything's going to be. You're searching for again that utopia, and you're not doing the work within yourself. And the work within yourself, you attract who you are, not what you want. You attract who you are, not what you want. You attract who you are from the heart space, not what you want. And even though you might attract the person that is, you know, a quote unquote a twin flame and not a soulmate, right? That's still who you are. It's still who you are.
Facts. I mean,
And going outside is not going to change it.
yeah, looking for something a different type, it's just going to reflect back to you yourself in a different language or in a different culture. It's still you. They going to cheat on you in Spanish or something else. Like it's the same thing. So until you do the work, the lesson is going to repeat itself over and over and over and over again. Okay. Okay. So we have a question. No shame. I've been married 5 times. Was wondering what the hell could be the lesson I needed to learn in this life experience.
Don't
Maybe,
get
I
married, no.
mean,
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
there's a variety of lessons. I mean, it really depends on what is going on with you. I am not a relationship expert by no means of the
Me
imagination.
either.
So
I'm not aware.
I'm
I
not
can't.
going to
Yeah.
try to diagnose or answer
Right.
your question. I will say just look within yourself and try to see what each partner was reflecting back to you. And there's nothing wrong with being married 5 times. Like
Nope.
that could be the sole contract that you signed up for. I mean, we're it's almost like Earth is like an amusement park, right? And some of us go on the same ride multiple times, right? Or some of us do the same thing. Like it's all a game. So maybe that was just the experience you meant to have in this life. But yeah, I'm not a relationship expert, so I'm the wrong person
Yeah.
at.
Me either.
Especially because
That's a
I've never
blessing.
been married before, so I wouldn't even feel right even
I was
answering
gonna
that.
say that. I was gonna say that. Not you, Mel, but you know, some of these heifers, man, out here ain't been married not one time. They don't even have anybody that want to propose to them. You know, they doing all type of things, wearing the biggest eyelashes, getting the lips the biggest, getting asses that don't fit their body, getting titties that's disproportionate to their chest, just to find somebody to say, "Will you marry me?" or hit that knee. So that's a blessing that you have 5. That means that you're desirable. That means you have qualities that
Yes.
men are attracted to. That means that you have a sense about you. That means you have seduction. That means you're willing to. That means you have qualities that men look for, which are great, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing to do, shit, is find out, you know, what was it about me that you like? You know, what was it about me that you didn't like? I mean, that might not be something you want to do depending on the relationship, but honestly, that's shit. That would be like a great lesson, I think, to understand what it was that, you know, attracted all these people. Because that's Liz. I think Elizabeth Taylor got married 6 times, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you're a celebrity, the J, but shit, that's impressive.
That is,
Kudos,
yeah.
shit,
Yes.
five
Yes.
times. Yeah,
That
that's not a bad thing.
that
That's
says,
the
yeah, that says
lesson.
a
The
lot about
lesson is to
you in
nurture,
terms
nurture
of.
the best behavior, nurture whatever got you those men, and
Mhm.
expand it. Shit.
And that's the ultimate form of commitment. So there is something about you that speaks commitment, that speaks longevity, right? Like that's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope. That is dope.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
powerful.
yeah, definitely. All right, so we are at the 2 hour mark. So, is there anything else that you want to mention about this? Any closing remarks that you would like to impart our audience with tonight about twin flames, soulmates, divine unions, all that stuff?
Good question. Um, hmm. Like I said, just soulmates are a reflection of you. Um, just understand the main purpose the um, Kemites or the Egyptians they taught was man know thyself, right? And not know someone else, not know what the opposite person is. Try to play these strategic games that they have on the internet. Well, if I do this, and this will happen. If I, wear red and go to a cigar bar, or if I have a certain amount of money and I'm wearing Gucci and Prada, and these things that are going to get you the ideal person. The external thing is not going to get you what you're looking for. It'll get you attraction, yes. It'll have people looking at you, yes. It'll have people desiring you, yes. But what you're really looking for is a connection for the soul. And the soul is the real you. The soul is the shadow. The soul is the part of you that is contained in your greatness. And it's also the part of you that is, it's not easy to match up with people. So the part of you that is trying to link with somebody, or the part of you that needs or has a desire for someone, don't come into it natural. Come into it with a clear slate with everybody. Anybody you meet, look, you had a past, learn things from the past, but don't bring the baggage in a new situation. They call it tabula rasa, right? Come with a blank slate, tabula rasa. There's no need for you to have this myopic view. If you think all men ain't shit or all women are trash, don't even date. Don't waste anybody's time. Take it easy. Step back. Heal. You know what I'm saying? Step back. Learn that people are different. Learn that all men and all women aren't the same. Meet different people. Engage. Be friends, right? Come into the space like that. But don't think there's some strategic method of fit, feminine, friendly, or tall, dark, and handsome with money, or whatever your strategy is. That's going to be the ideal person for you, because that may not be what you want. You might just want to live in a nice house, have a backyard, a dog, a pool, and that's it. You don't need the bells and whistles and the Bentleys. Some people, that's what they want, the Bentleys, the private jets. Some people want a tiny house. Some people want to, shit. Some people want to smoke crack and live in the hood, right? Go back to the crackheads, right? Figure it out though, but figure it out what your heart desires, what you love to do, and find someone who matches that and that accepts you for you, accepts your soul for you, truly accepts you for being you. You don't want to have to be somebody for anybody else. You don't want to dumb down yourself for anybody else. You don't want to change your beliefs for anybody else, because that's not you. Be you. Don't use a strategy. Come to everybody with open arms. Let them fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? But come to them with open arms and give people the opportunity to prove themselves.
Mm.
Because a lot of times people turn away good people because of their past traumas and their past hurts from other relationships. That's it.
Hmm. All right. That's very well said. Very well said. Um, I think that I will say that at the heart of everything is unconditional love. And that
Mm.
is a very tough thing for people to, that's a very tough concept for people to grasp, especially in relationships, because we're conditioned to go into relationships with conditions. I love you if you make this much money. I love you if you have this lifestyle. I love you if you treat me a certain way, right? And that's not the point. The unconditional love has to start with you. If you can just remember, if there's one thing that you glean from this particular video, is that relationships start and end with you. They are all reflections of you, every single type of relationship. So if you give yourself unconditional love, it can only be reflected back to you. And that's what the work is. When we say do the work, it's not on a superficial level, like it's not even just understanding what you went through. It's loving yourself despite what you went through. It's understanding where it came from and loving yourself regardless, accepting yourself regardless. That's how you find those relationships that are full of love and acceptance. It all begins and ends with you. And yes, you can have the fairy tale. You can have the matching pajamas at Christmas. You can have the vacations in Bali. You can have all of that shit. But if you do the work, it's going to be 10 times sweeter. 10 times sweeter. And that's when you find relationships that last too. We live in a very microwave society where people are like, oh, you had like an emotional issue. Oh no, he's soft. I don't want him no more. He's like, what the fuck? Niggas crying? Like, nah, okay, girl. Let me tell you, this dude, like, yeah, no. That's where the commitment comes in that I was talking about.
That's where the commitment comes in.
When rubber hits the road and you find that because like I said, you don't have to be completely healed to be in these relationships. Some of the healing has to come from these relationships because that's the only way that you're going to see what's really within you. But unless you have that unconditional love for yourself, guess what? You're not going to have it for the other person either when they're going through their hard time. That's why I said this is not for the faint of heart. This isn't just having nice things and experiencing nice experiences. This is having true love. The whole point of the twin flame is that it purifies through fire. So you have to be willing to go through the fire. You have to allow yourself to be burned, to burn away what no longer serves you, and allow the same grace and compassion for your counterpart as well. Because it can be easy to have it for yourself, but then when you're okay and this person's having a nervous breakdown, you could be like, oh, this is too much to handle, or you need to do this on your own. Then you're not ready for a relationship. You're not ready for a relationship of this caliber.
At all.
Yeah. It takes a strong person. And strong doesn't mean that you don't have insecurities, you don't have fears, you don't have any of these things. It's that you work through them, and most importantly, you love yourself enough through them. And that allows you to do the same for others, and then others will in turn do that for you. That's where you get the fairy tale. That's where you get what everyone's talking about. But that's the work that has to be done. And it's doable. Right? And it may be that you have certain relationships of these calibers to sort of get you ready for that one. You may have a one. You may not. You may have ones. Or you just may have a soul contract where you just have rolling ones. You don't have one for the rest of your life. That depends on you. Right? That's the beauty of, that depends on what you signed up for and what's truly in your heart. You know, monogamy may not be your thing, but that doesn't mean you have like fucked up polygamous relationships either. Right? Whatever form of relationship, whatever you want your life to look like, it just has to be at the highest level, at the highest vibration. That's what this process is for. So try not to fall into the rabbit hole of thinking that every twin flame relationship looks a certain way or that it conducts itself in a certain way. When you know you will know your relationship. And that's what you depend on, not what anyone else is saying or anyone else is talking in your ear about. But it begins and ends with you, and it begins and ends with unconditional love. And once you learn that, the sky is the limit. All right?
Yeah. Good piece, Mel. Good piece. Nobody can love you until you love yourself.
Yeah.
You can't love anybody unless you love yourself, sincerely.
Seriously. And self-love is also one of those things that is starting to get like bastardized because people think self-love is like a day at the spa and like smoking a blunt in the bathtub. Like, come on, it can be. You
It
know,
can be.
like everything I see on Instagram, it's like some naked chick in a tub with a blunt talking about, oh, self-care Sunday. Like, great. Like, I get that. If that's part of your self-care ritual, cool. I'm not knocking that. But
Right.
self-care is loving yourself through the ugly shit. It's knowing that you were abused before and still loving yourself and showing up for yourself and accepting yourself and working through those things. And it's not to say that you have to be perfect, but the fact that you're willing to work on it speaks volumes in terms of who you are as a person. And then you can enjoy your bubble bath with your blunt. But
Right.
yes,
Right.
but yes, it starts with self love. Everything starts with the self first.
Yeah. But you need other people too. Like you said,
Yes.
yes, you got to love yourself. That's where you start with, right? But
Mm-hmm.
don't let the self love turn you into an egomaniac, because we all need somebody. There's a scientific study, and I'll be brief with this because I know we've been talking. There's a scientific study where they found out what is the main cause of happiness in people's lives. And it wasn't money, it wasn't fitness, it wasn't relationships, sex, nothing like that. It's personal connections.
Mm.
That's the number one way to gain happiness, having connections with people. So don't just look at, when I get in a relationship, I'll be happy. No, be happy with friends. Go out with your fellas. Go on girl trips. Be happy. Enjoy your life. Socialize. Network. A lot of times, because we're behind these screens. No, speaking of, and I said I'll be brief, but I'm still gonna be brief. I
No, you
shit. I had
good.
a little existential crisis where I was like, damn, I'm fucking alone. Most of the people I know, this is a while back, where I'm like, shit, like most of the people I know, they're like, doing this, and they're on this level and they're doing this. And I felt like, the only people I knew that were thinking like this was online. And, it could make you feel like you're in a lonely spot, but you're never really lonely. Really, you just have to still put out that love for yourself and put out that desire, and then they will come. If you build it, they will come. If you build a way to express yourself, even with social media, just even in life, people will come in the health food store, in the grocery store, in Target, wherever. Like, you'll be surprised, man. People will recognize you if you're being yourself, and people will attract you. You don't even know why. It's just you're being you, and you're still pouring love into yourself. So don't neglect those physical, tangible bonds. Yes, the
Mm-hmm.
internet is cool. Yes, linking up and knowing people is cool. But shit, book a flight, take a road trip. You know what I'm saying? Do what you need to do to link up and network. Go to a class, go to a course, take a seminar, right? Get out the house. You know what I'm saying? Go to the gym, get off your ass, meet people. It's summertime. Go to the beach, meet people, talk to people. Be the reflection of God on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Very well said. Yeah. And if you're living your purpose, like you'll be inspired to take actions that will get you to meet the people that you're supposed to meet. Like you'll be like, yo, let me sign up for this class. And before you know it, like your twin flame is sitting like right across from you. But had you not been in your purpose, you wouldn't have signed up for the class and you would have met this person. So yeah, it all begins and ends with you basically.
Yeah. Send that DM.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So I think this was a really dope topic. I love talking about things like this with you, Rob, because you always bring such a great perspective, always with the spirituality, always with the spiritual knowledge, too. Like, I really appreciate that about you. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I definitely appreciate it. All right. And let people know where they can find you, what services you offer, all that good stuff.
Right. I appreciate you having me, Mel. Thank you. And I appreciate you, allowing me to come on your platform. It's an honor. I respect what you do as well. You can find me. Um, I always think of Nelly's whenever I say that. You can find me in St. Louis on Dubs. You can you can find me on on here on YouTube, Rob Blackstorm. I'll start uploading soon. I've been away for a minute, really doing like grinding and stuff like that financially, but that's been going well. So I have some time now. So I'll be back on YouTube very, very soon. I'm not going to say a date, but I'll be most likely this week. And thank you, Mel, because you actually got me back in the vibe. So now I'm ready to go again. So I appreciate you. You
Cool.
don't even know, but I appreciate you for that. And so yeah, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, Rob Blackstorm, Facebook. I do readings right now. So you could book a reading, robblackstorm@gmail.com. And yeah, that's it right now. I got some merch coming.
Mm.
I'm actually wearing a shirt, Peace, Power, and Prosperity, but I'll display it more on my channel. Don't want to promote on Mel's channel. So, but
Oh
yeah,
no, please go ahead.
you can find me on these. But yeah, this is one of my shirts I designed. Peace, Power, and Prosperity. So if you're
I love
interested,
it.
you can inbox me on Instagram. $35 for a shirt. So yeah, if you look for a hoodie, it's a little more. But yeah, I got you. But I'll be promoting it more on my channel. I just started, so I got a couple I got out. So I'll start promoting them more. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I appreciate you. I appreciate all the guests. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening. It means a lot to me.
All right. Yes, we had a very nice live chat going on tonight. So I appreciate all of you for joining us, for rocking with us for like 2.5 hours. I think that it's an important topic because it's a topic that a lot of people talk about, a lot of people want, but it's good for us to be on the right wavelength when it comes to it. We don't tolerate any bullshit around here, right? So this is about giving you the real, honest truth, but the information that'll help motivate you and the information that'll help elevate you. So that was the whole point of this live. So I truly hope that that is how you received it, because that was definitely our intention. All right. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to know anything about my products or services, those links are going to be in the description box below. You can always catch me on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the weekly Astro Forecast. This is the first in the series of interviews. I'll be doing one a month, and I've got a really nice one set up for next month. All right. And so haven't been posting as much as I would like to in terms of the learn astrology stuff, but I've got a lot of those videos coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned. Again, always hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And yeah, I think we good. I think that's it. So thank you
Oh,
so much for.
one more thing, Mel.
Mhm.
Spirits asked me to say this. So a relationship is a job, right? All relationships are jobs. You go to a job that you hate and still make money, or you could a job that you love and still make money. Both have benefits, right? Both are going to give you something. But what would you prefer, to be in a job you hate or a job you love? But they're both going to be work. So that's
Mm.
really the choice you have to make.
Oh, that makes complete sense. Complete sense. But you're right. It still is all about the work. Complete sense. All right, my love. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will see y'all next time and take care. All right. See you soon. Bye.
Peace. Now we